Key Stage 3 Parent Information Event, November 2024. My name is Mrs. Khan and I am one of the assistant head teachers at Cotham School, and I'm also SLT Link for Year 8. So this evening, what I'll be doing is I'll be showing you around the Key Stage 3 Parent Information Event portal. I'm talking you through all of the key staff, the documents, resources and key events for the year ahead for Key Stage 3. Don't worry if you couldn't make the parent information event evening today, because this portal and this video and all of the resources that will be presented this evening will be made available to you via the weekly mailing, and will be emailed to you also, and there'll also be links to it on our website. So what we're going to talk about today in the parent information event is we're going to talk about what's on this portal, what it looks like. I'm going to be talking to you about the key staff for year 7, 8 and 9 and key documents that you can look forward to receiving, an outline of the year ahead for Key Stage 3, the year group examinations, Key Stage 3 progress reports, what they look like, and how students can best prepare for assessments and examinations, and most importantly, what you can do to support your child at home. Okay, so let's get started. What's on the information event portal? Well, the first thing you'll find of most value on the Key Stage 3 Parent Information Event portal is Key Stage 3 subject videos. Now, these have been recorded by all of the subject teachers, and they provide an overview of the course. They give an explanation of how students can be successful on the course, and it also provides an explanation of how parents can support children on the course, as well as direction to additional resources if they're needed. So at this point, if I can just bring in the portal and show you what it looks like. Here it is, and I'll show you also where you can access it from the internet. So there'll be a link here for Parent Voice Survey, and we'd really appreciate it if you can take a couple of moments just to fill that in once you've attended the event and had a browse through the portal, because we're always looking to improve the portal, and this is our opportunity to do that by acting on your feedback. So thank you very much in advance for doing that. So first of all, you'll find a welcome video here from me, which is what you're viewing right now. And to the right of that on your screen, you will see the Year 7 team, Year 8 team and Year 9 team, who the learning coordinators are, and who the year team assistants or the behaviour managers are, and who the SLT link is for each of those year groups. And the email addresses are linked in there for you too. So as you scroll further down, this is where you will find a subject video for each of the courses that your child is studying at Key Stage 3. And these are only a few minutes long, and they're really useful because they provide an overview of the whole of Key Stage 3 and what your child is working towards and how you can support them at home. So there's one there for every subject at Key Stage 3. And as you move further down, you're going to find the curriculum booklets, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about these through the course of this evening. And then also linked further down, you'll have the assessment calendars for year 7, 8 and 9. And I'll talk to you about those a bit later too. And there's some really helpful online portals, the digital learning platforms, and preparing for assessments, which we will dive into a little bit more too. The online portals, learning platforms that the school is subscribed to are GCSE Pod and Seneca. And you can set up parent accounts for these as well. So if you follow the links within here, then they'll show you how to do that. Tracking homework on Google Classroom. You can download the Google Classroom app onto your phone and log in using your child's login details, and you can view the homework that they're receiving and keep track of it. And there's some helpful links here about some links to some useful resources about how children learn, revision guides, and there's also help and support with the student wellbeing page that you will also have access to as well. Okay, so that's the portal. If I just come away from the portal for a moment and back to the video, to my PowerPoint presentation. Key staff and documents for Key Stage 3. Well, these are the key staff for year 7, 8 and 9. So Miss Wellington is the learning coordinator for year 7, Mr. Knight for year 8 and Mr. Lawrence for year 9. And they're supported by behaviour managers Miss Price, Mr. Dehan, and Miss Esposito. And they are further line managed by our senior leadership team, which are the three assistant head teachers, myself, Mrs. Khan, Miss Veal, and Miss Vanderberg. Key Stage 3 documents. Curriculum booklets, which you saw linked into the portal there. These are really useful because they give you a breakdown of all the subjects studied at Key Stage 3. And if I can just bring one in to show you what it looks like. There's more to it than just the core subjects that your child will be studying. So there's information here about what tutor time looks like, what literacy and numeracy looks like in the school, an explanation of your reports, what the reports look like to parents, and then a breakdown of all the different subjects. And this has been completed by our subject teachers. So it will give you targeted support and information about the subject. And there are some resources linked in as well. So if we scroll down to maybe one of the subjects, and here also you can see how many periods across the 2-week cycle each of the subjects have. And there's some information there about tutor periods. And if I carry on down, then you will get a chance to see what one of the subjects will look like. So that's what the reports mean, the numbers in the reports. And then here we are, English. So here's a breakdown of what we studied here in English, with the assessment, what that will look like, with some resources about where students can go to revise, other essential reading, and wider reading around the subject. So that information is all there in the curriculum booklets. You also have at your disposal the assessment calendars. Now these are really useful if I bring one in to show you. Because they will give you a week-by-week breakdown of what assessments your child has in that particular week. And we update this every big term. So it's up to date until the end of term 2, and then it will be updated by the end of this term for terms 3 and 4. And you'll see that guidance notes are linked in here for each assessment where possible. So that will give you further guidance on what your child will need to do to revise for that particular assessment in terms of resources and checklists, etc. So that's a really useful go-to place to know when your child has got an assessment coming up. In addition to that, we have the year ahead. So the most important thing happening the year ahead for year 9s will be the Pathways event, but I'll talk about that in a moment. The parents' evenings are as follows. 15th of January we have the year 9 parents' evening. On the 22nd of January we have the Pathways evening, I'm sorry. Yeah, on the 15th of January, we have the Pathways evening, apologies. And then the year 9 is parents' evening on 22nd of January. Then the 6th of March is the year 7 parents' evening. On the 3rd of April is the year 8 parents' evening. The progress reports, the final ones that will be released this year. On the 25th of April, it will be year 8, 23rd of May, year 9, and the 4th of July, it will be year 7. And that's after the 2-week exam window that students will have. Each year group will have a 2-week formal exam window where they will be assessed on all of the content they've studied so far in Key Stage 3 or across the year. So there's a different exam window for each year group. For year 8, it's from the 3rd to the 14th of March. For year 9, it's from the 24th of March to the 4th of April. And for the year 7s, it's from the 20th of May until the 6th of June. The Key Stage 4 Pathways process, and this is where the year 9 students will make their choices about what options or subjects they would like to study at Key Stage 4. And this process begins on the 15th of January with our year 9 Pathways evening, which will be an in-person event, followed by the 23rd of January, which is when the window for submitting subject preferences opens. And on the 14th of February, the windows for submitting subject preferences will close. And then the week beginning the 19th of May is when the year 9 choices will be released to the students. The Key Stage 3 exams format, these will be run in classes during lesson times, and each year group will have a 2-week examination window for this. The internal examinations are set and marked by the faculties. A mock exam timetable and an exam preparation booklet will be released at least 4 weeks in advance of the examinations. And the exam preparation booklets are, again, really useful resource for supporting your child in revision. So they look something like this. So the exam window will be highlighted in there, and then there'll be a link to every single subject. So if you click on English, it will take you to a slide on English and what the test will be on, and how and where students can revise, what resources they can use. All of that will be detailed. And then there's one slide for each subject. And it also gives you the duration of the exam as well. So that's a really useful resource before the exam window takes place. The KS3 progress reports, helping you to understand them. This is what they will look like for your child. So you'll have the subject and teacher listed, and then their current grade that they're working at. So we don't use numbers, but we do use exceeding, towards, and working at. And then we also then decide whether they're on track for a GCSE minimum expected grade or not. And if they're working within two grades of that minimum expected grade, where they're supposed to, we regard them as being on track. If they're 2 grades below, then they'll be regarded as not being on track. The attitude to learning and homework is graded out of from 1 to 4, with 1 being the highest and 4 being the lowest. And just to give you a bit more of explanation of what these look like. So exceeding means that the student is exceeding the standard expected for a student of their age with a similar starting point. And working at is the student is working at a standard expected for a student of their age, compared to a similar student with a similar starting point. Working towards is the standard expected for a student of their age, not yet the expected standard. If they continue to work in this way, they would estimate that they will achieve a grade 3 or above at GCSE. Working below, the student is working well below the standard expected for a student of their age, and that means if they continue working in this way, they could achieve a GCSE grade of 1 or above. Effective preparation for examinations. The best way to support your child in preparing for any assessments they have, and especially the formal exams that will take place, the 2-week window of formal exams, is using 2 really good evidence-based strategies, and one of them is self-quizzing. Self-quizzing is basically the art of active recall. So when students revise, they should be undertaking some kind of active note taking. So whether that be in the form of mind maps or flashcards or cornell notes, whatever works for them, but they should write something down. Self-quizzing is then maybe when they get a parent or a sibling or someone to test them, so they're actively trying to recall what they've learned and written down from memory, or they may try and change that revision into a different form. So if they're doing, if they made a flashcard before, or they just made some notes before, maybe they're changing those notes into a mind map, or changing those notes into flashcards. Just changing that form of revision strengthens the power for retaining that knowledge. Distributed practices of spacing out revision, and I think this is the key takeaway really from today is, to support your child to create a study timetable, which they can stick to every day. When it becomes exam period, then that becomes an exam timetable. So having fixed times of the day when they revise and when they don't revise, and spacing out their revision, so they're not just learning something once, but they're learning it once, leaving it for a day, coming back to it and learning it again. And that is the best way to revise, and that's the best way to start storing information into their long-term memory. To support with that, we are providing a revision study timetable, which will be linked into the PowerPoint. So setting up a timetable similar to this will be really useful. Supporting your child at home. Best thing you can do is check that their Google Classroom is up to date, view their tasks and their due dates, help them to prioritise their work, help them to plan their homework. So if they're going to do an hour a night, and then if they're going to, maybe half an hour of that will be one subject, half an hour on another subject, maybe they don't have to attempt to do all of their homework on the same night, because as they get older, the homeworks will get longer and they'll become more in depth, and sometimes it might not be possible to complete that homework in one evening. So setting up an agreed timetable of study is a really, really good idea. Online learning platforms. We are subscribed as a school. We have a full subscription, premium subscription to Seneca and to GCSE Pod. GCSE Pod is used more at Key Stage 4, but Seneca is used from Key Stage 3 right through to Key Stage 4. And students can go on to Seneca to revise any topic of their choice for science. If they have science tests coming up, and most of the Key Stage 3 science homeworks are set on Seneca as well. Supporting students, again, I would say the best thing you can do at the moment is support your child in setting up a study timetable. So they do at least a minimum of an hour every day, and within that hour, they study at least 2 subjects every evening. Supporting students with study space and making sure that they have somewhere where they have lots of light. They swap music for ambient noise. So rather than listening to music, they either try to study silently or they swap out the music for ambient noise, so music without lyrics. Otherwise, their brain is also trying to process those lyrics as well. Remove any headphones or computers or consoles or internet from them if they do not need it. Often they will need the internet for their homework if they're working on Seneca or needing to access Google Classroom. But apart from need, remove as many distractions as you can from their workspaces, making sure they have somewhere where they can study in silence, and just having that regular check-in with them every day. I know how hard that can be as students get older. They tend to engage with us as parents less and less, but getting them into habit from now of having that regular check-in with them, how is it going? Have you got any homework this evening? What's the plan for tonight? What do you plan on studying while they're working? Can I refill your drink? Can I get you any more pens and paper? Would you like me to test you? These sorts of things. I think they would find it, they would really appreciate it. There's a useful book here, Students' The Parents' Guide to Science of Learning. It talks about various things like, the importance of having breakfast in the morning, revising without lyrics, with music without lyrics is much better than, revising with music with lyrics, and also how concentration levels can dip when students are not having breakfast in the mornings. And further resources and help are also available for you via our digital learning platforms, which we'll just show you now. If you have any further subject queries, please do talk to your child's subject teacher. If there are non-subject queries, talk to your child's tutor. For any wider learning queries, talk to your child's learning coordinator. And thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Now, before I let you go, I just want to show you where you can access the digital learning platforms and the preparation for assessments. So if you're on the school website, if you want to know where the Parent Information Event Portal is, if you click down to Information Events and go to Key Stage 2 Parent Information site, you'll see the portal is there, and it will be updated by the time you get to view it. Also, on the school website, you will find, if you go on to students, digital learning platforms, so there's some student support and there's parent support for the different website, for the different learning platforms, and there's also teacher resources there too. Also, you will find on the school website, if you go to preparation for assessments, there's a whole section here on self-quizzing and distributed practice. And within the distributed practice section, you'll find 2 study schedules there. There's an after-school study schedule, and there's also a full-day study schedule, which is for the holidays, if your child wanted to have study timetable in the holidays. So that's where you can access those portals. And thank you very much for taking the time today to listen to my presentation. And if should you have any further questions or queries, please do contact your child's learning coordinator. Thank you very much.